his apologies. He's not going to be able to be with us today. I think that everybody else is here. We've got PBS up now. So, Mr. Chair, you're good to start in.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Can you hear me okay? I got these earbuds in now, so everything sound well? Okay, good deal. All right. So, Kevin, would you like to do the invocation?
That'll be fine. That'll be fine.
Yes, sir.
Father, this afternoon, as we gather to talk about industry business, I just would ask that you would be with our board and that you would help the decision-making process, that everything they do would be fair and just. We thank you for the ability for our families to make a living for our families in this industry. I pray that you bless this industry. We love you, Father. We love your Son. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. First order of business, remind the board and guest of recorded meeting. And I'm going to ask the director to do the roll call, please. Kevin?
Paul Cash. You are muted. He is here. Gordon Cunningham.
Yes, sir. Here.
Terry McCulley. Here. Damon Jackson.
Here.
Drew Kraft.
Here.
And Brooke Thorpe.
Here.
Okay. You have a quorum, sir. You can proceed.
Sir, order reading of the minutes or motion to dispense. Can I ask for a first?
I'll make a
For
motion.
motion. And a second.
I'll second.
All right. And I guess for the record, who did the first?
Damon.
Damon. And Drew, second. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, moving forward. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? No opposed. All right. So motion carries. All right. Sixth line item here on the agenda. Ask the director to go over any new class 2 or class 10 permits, as well as any territory expansions that were issued since our last board meeting. Kevin?
Okay. Since our last board meeting, we did not have any class 1s. The additional permits that have been issued, number 1, Adventure RV and Bait Shop in Adkins, a class 3. Powell Feed and Milling in Salem, Arkansas, a class 3. Tractor Supply down in Fordyce, a class 3. Mountain Harbor Resort in Mount Ida, a class 3. Reggie Jeton Electric. And Drew, is that pronounced Jeton or Jeton or?
Jeton.
Jeton. Reggie Jeton Electric, class 2 out of Paragould. And CNG Propane, a class 3 out of Hector. Those are all the permits that we've issued since the last meeting. We have 2 that have asked for territory expansions. SunGas with Newton County and Island Energy with Poinsett County. Are there any questions or concerns about those? If not, Chair, you're free to move on.
All right. Okay, number 7. Is Donnie Ray present?
He is. Donnie Ray.
All right.
Well, thank you for allowing us time to give you a little update from the Arkansas Propane Gas Association. As you know, we finished up the month of April, got all of our safety meetings in. We had 13 locations. We started out in El Dorado and finished up in Van Buren. And we had a total of about 525 people attend the safety meeting. We also have about 122 people, I think, something like that, that are still needing to make the safety meeting. So we got a makeup meeting scheduled for July the 26th. And that'll be here at the LPGS board. We'll talk a little more about that here in a minute. Kevin and his team were tremendous helpers getting that all done. Actually, I found out that that's a whole lot more work than I thought it was going to be. You know, carrying everything in and carrying it back out and getting there and doing it. But it was a lot of fun. I think it went really well. I think we did a good thing there. One other thing I wanted to mention was Mid-States is coming up. That's August the 7th through 9th in Rogers. That'll be Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. And we do have a website. It's if you Google it, you can Google Mid-States Propane Convention. And so there's been a lot of planning and a lot of work going on with that. I think they've got pretty well got it all lined out with their folks that are going to be setting up exhibits and the sponsorships, and look like it's going to be a really good convention. One other thing I was going to mention to you, I just got back from DC. They had propane days up there this week, Monday, Tuesday, and some of them may have had some meetings on Wednesday. I spent most of the day Monday in meetings with MPGA, and then Tuesday we were at Capitol Hill. And me and J.C. Cox, who is the president of the association, we were able to go to every one of our lawmakers' offices, and really was received very well. And they're pretty much all on the same page as we are. Of course, you know, there's a lot of people up there that are not. And the Department of Energy and different departments up there are making rules that make it harder to do business if you're trying to sell gas. And that's a lot of what we were talking about. You know, there's a movement for everything to be electrified. And so anyway, there was a record number of people from across the country up there Tuesday from the propane folks. I don't want to name a number, but I heard them say it was a record number of people from around the country that was up there. So I think we had a pretty successful day. And then we're talking about the makeup meeting, the safety makeup meeting. Kevin, did you have something on that?
Well, you shared that we have, after all the 13 were done, we typically have 20 or 30 certified employees that did not attend, and we'll have one makeup meeting here at the building and we'll knock it out. But this time around, we've got 122, like Donnie Ray said. So I think that the association is looking at, you're considering a couple of different ways to take care of this.
Right. One of the things, there's going to be, during the convention at Rogers, there's going to be a presentation on bobtail rollover. From a safety professional is going to do a presentation on bobtail rollovers. So we thought that we'd give people an opportunity to make up their meeting by attending that. It would count. So that'd be one way. And then, of course, the meeting we have here, we could do an in-person meeting here, July the 26th, or maybe offer it as a Zoom also.
What do you all think about that? Having those that want to come in, and then, you know, we can easily pull the cart to that side of the room and then just let everybody Zoom in that wants to do that to complete their training. Or how do you think of that versus online, just doing it online?
Online.
For technology purposes, I would say online.
Online.
Online would give a little more flexibility on timing.
Brooke, I agree. I was just fixing to say that if we were able, and I know with this, that might, I don't know that we published. Have you all published the makeup date?
No, I don't think we
We
have.
had just used that as a tentative.
Right, right.
If we did it online, I don't know that that could happen in 30 days. It might could, but it might affect the makeup date. But I don't think anybody would worry if they had the flexibility to log on and go through the module or whatever the training was.
Yeah.
Just need to put an end date on it. Yeah, put an end date on it. You need to get this done by then. What do you think, Terry? Online versus Zoom in, or maybe offer all three and
Offer all three, but I like the. Able to just give them a timeline and be done instead of the Zoom meeting.
all right. Well, I'm sure that Donnie Ray can get with Mr. Aaron's and
Yep.
figure out something, and we'll support his, we can notify these individuals from the office here, you know, and let them know you've missed the meeting,
All right,
your certification and this, and then tell them about the options,
right.
give them the opportunity.
Sounds good.
All right.
That's about all I have.
All right. Does anybody got anything else for Donnie while he's here?
No,
I think that pretty much does it.
All
Johnny, we
good.
appreciate all your info.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Donnie.
Call me if you need anything, any questions. Thanks.
Sir. Moving right along, line item 8 here. Are there any other matters to come before the board?
Unless you all have anything. I don't think, Gordon, I don't think there's anybody else here.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin for your comments.
Okay. First thing we want to do is to go ahead and go over the financial report. If you all have that in your packets, it's the one page, just like y'all are used to seeing. These numbers are through May. And just want to remind everybody of the appropriation for the year is $455,000. Through May, the expenses are $428,000. The revenue generated through May is $645,000. And then the comparison from 1 year ago, $399,000 for expenses, and the revenue is about $650,000. Our expenses are around 28,000 more than the same period last year. About 16 of that involves the HVAC unit that we had to replace, the new sign that we got out here. About 12,000 of it it's about 3% increase. And that is caused from the increase in the printing fees. As you all know, there's been a lot of tanks set and probably a lot more yet to set. So we're blowing through 61s. We're having trouble getting those right now. We just got contacted by the prison today. Oh, but they just dropped off LCOs today, didn't they?
Yeah,
Just LCOs. By the 16th, Chris, do you remember when he said? By the 16th, we should have more 61s that the inspectors and we can get out. But it's about a 3% increase over our expenses from last year. And the majority of that are utilities and our printing cost. Do we have any questions concerning the financial report?
no.
No, sir.
Need a motion for us to accept that. Motion that we accept the financial report is printed.
Do we have a second?
Exit second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. In your packets, I believe that I had a copy of Act 349. This dealt with the request that you all received to dispense with registration and inspection fees. And this was at the December board meeting. And we requested that language be changed in the bill before you all considered it. That was done and that passed, and you should have that in front of you as part of your packet. And I just want to kind of go over this so we know what what it says and what it means, and then also give you some financial background behind that before you all vote on this. It reads now, if the balance of the Liquefied Petroleum Gas Fund exceeds $500,000, the Liquefied Petroleum Gas Board shall have the discretion to dispense with all inspection and registration fees. The board's decision to dispense with inspection and registration fees under this section is effective for the fiscal year following the board's decision. So we don't now have to have a situation where it would have to drop below that 500,000, which would not be fiscally responsible. This is a one fiscal year only. If you all do not act on it, it dies, and we go back to charging in July of 24, or this meeting preceding the start of the fiscal year. If you wanted to roll that over, you could do that. And let me tell you, let me just share with you some figures. If we dispense with all registration and inspection fees, that is going to reduce the revenue about $294,000 a year. Out of that, and I think I put this on the chart. Chrissy, could I see your copy? Thank you, ma'am. Out of that, the registration fees make up a little over 100,000. These are tags that are put on domestic tanks. And so the lion's share of that 100,000, and when I say lion's share, like 98, 99% go out of state to the tank manufacturers. Now, the hope would be is that they are not being charged the $20 for the registration. So when our dealers purchase steel and it comes back into the state, that would be reflected on the invoicing, that they would also not charge that to the dealers. But that 100,000 right now is going out of state. On the inspection fees, of the 194,000 that is generated in inspection fees, over 65% of that goes out of the state back because of the transportation sector, the class 5s. The majority of that are transports. We've got people like Martin, Safeway. These people are decaling, 100 trailers because they don't know which ones they're going to need to come into the state. So roughly $87,000, if you all enact this, will be truly realized by our dealers in the state. If you look at that reduced revenue versus not just the revenue that we're generating this year, if we're using that for an example, but compared to our appropriation, right now you can see our expenses by the last financial report that we got. We're going to come in about $200,000 more revenue than we needed to cover expenses. So if you look at that in real terms, that 300,000 that would be returned to the industry through invoking this would not be a true direct hit to the fund. We've got just over $2 million in the fund right now. It would end up being about $150,000 reduction. If you think of it in those terms, it would be, going on 10 years before we would get drawn down enough. And this has to be re-upped every year, like we were saying. So that's kind of where we are with this. And then I'll put it back in you all's hands to discuss and see what you want to do. Or if you have any additional questions.
Does the board have any questions?
Hey, Kevin, this is Damon. I guess when I was thinking about that, it was just for the class 1 dealers, but it's for all your invoicing to anybody for tanks, transports, everything, right?
Yes, but now what it doesn't affect a little over $300,000 of revenue, which is the permitting and certifications. But it does affect every classification as far as inspections go and registration fees.
Is, is this something that we need to think about and table, or can, does anybody have any comments they want to make in regards to this?
No.
We vote on that. It would go into effect in July.
That's correct. With the start of the new fiscal year, which is July 1.
Okay. So if a company was to buy a load of tanks and, I guess they would show that on there, or a dealer could remind them of the new law, new bill,
That's
or
correct.
or call you.
Right, and this does not need to be, this is already a statute, and the statute was changed the last legislative session, so we don't need to promulgate or nothing. You all vote, and it's done. And July 1st, then, the savings start to be realized by the industry. And we would do notification to everybody to let them know what's going on.
Okay.
To Gordon's point, you know, you're the board, you all can do what you want to do. But the way that the statute is written, it takes place the next fiscal year following you all saying yes. And, you know, our next meeting is going to be after this next fiscal year starts. So then it would be delayed another year. That's just something to keep in mind. Sarah, does that make sense to you? Charlie? Does that make- Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Kevin,
Kevin, you think that implementation of this is going to affect the overall, it's going to cause us to have budgeting issues within this next fiscal year or anything? That's what I'm hearing.
No. There'll be this will not affect the operation of the board in any way. And so our appropriation for this next fiscal year, and I was going to share that with you all. We can just go ahead and do that right now. The next appropriation for 23-24 is $625,000. You all saw that our current fiscal year is $455,000. We had some increase in salary and expenses, but we asked for $80,000 in capital expenditure money. And that's to be used for a couple of different reasons. To start replacing our HVAC system that's 22 years old. And then we want to get a good training regulator pipe sizing board for our training area over here. So if you look at this next fiscal year's appropriation of $625,000, and you look at what the revenue is being generated right now, our revenue is still exceeding that appropriation, even though it's a huge increase over this year's appropriation. So, and that's what and I don't know if I said it right, but that was what I was trying to let everybody know is when you hear that number of 300,000, 294,000, using this year's numbers that we won't be collecting next year, it seems like a lot, especially when we're used to working off of 455,000. But we're collecting right now, and we always have. That's why we have a surplus in our fund. Since this building, I'm assuming that when this building was built in 2001, our fund was probably close to zero, you know, because it cost them a couple of million to build this. Ever since that time, we have been taking in about 100,000 more than our expenses. And so that has added up to, again, over $2 million that we have in the fund. So when you look at that, a reduction of $150,000 on a $2 million fund, it's going to take, if you all enacted this 10 years in a row, it would be approaching that $500,000 that was referenced in the beginning of the statute. Brooke, no, it will not affect our ability to do what we need to do on a yearly basis.
Okay, sounds great.
Director, can I ask?
Oh, Charlie's at the table.
I know a lot. Does the act have an emergency clause on it?
I don't know if it had an emergency clause or not.
If it doesn't have an emergency clause, then that law is not effective until August 1st, I believe. So I'm going to ask Ms. Ferris to chime in here. Sarah, if they vote on this based on that law right now, and it's not truly in effect until August 1st, is that problematic from your perspective?
Well, since there's not an emergency clause, as you said, Mr. Moulton, it won't be effective until August 1st. So I do think that poses a problem.
Is it, now they can, when's your fiscal year?
July 1st.
July 1st?
Mhm.
And when does, so is there a workaround on this one? Sarah? Based on the way you read the law? Because I was just sitting here listening like I always do and started trying to parse this out a little bit. Do they have the legal authority to vote on this if it's not truly law yet? Or are they going to have to kick this can down the road to the next fiscal year?
I think they're going to have to kick it. Yeah, I don't see a workaround. Do you?
I'm going to think real hard
Yeah.
a way to do it.
So Sarah, if they, and Charlie, if they voted to do this today, then come August 1st, it would be in place. But you think the hiccup is that, I mean, it's during the fiscal year, and how does the statute read? The next fiscal year?
Yeah, the next fiscal year.
Following?
I mean, they can certainly take a vote and say that that's what their intent is.
Yeah.
But the problem that I would see if there's anything, and if nobody squawks about it, then I don't see it as a problem. But if somebody were to squawk, and I can't imagine somebody would complain about getting money back, they can certainly vote.
And I could.
They can vote their intent right now. But
Let me do some research and see if I can find anything on point. But I like Mr. Bolton's suggestion that we go ahead and see what the board wants to do. Go ahead and get a vote.
I would at least do that.
Mm-hmm.
Make certain that that vote can stick and be valid moving forward. I just, as the director was explaining things and as it related juxtaposition with the law and the fiscal year, I kind of had a mini epiphany there about whether or not it was completely copacetic with the law. Because I mean, technically, it's not the law yet. We can.
Yeah, and I'll admit that I did not even notice the issue. So thank you, Charlie, for bringing that up. But
I still think that.
Motion.
Do
we put that in the motion where the first available fiscal year, maybe in the motion?
Yeah, Paul, I think that'd be proper. That shows the intent of the board, if that's what y'all choose to do.
So we take it as written and include in that effective the first available fiscal year
under the law.
To the law, letter of the law, whatever.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I'm just I'm just waiting to see if there's any more comments or concerns. Okay, all right. So I'm going to entertain a motion. Paul, would you like to?
Let me ask a question. This is Larry Mengel. Has anybody actually looked at do you have a copy of the act in front of you to make sure there's not emergency clause?
Yeah, I've got it in front of me. There's not one.
Okay. Because I know we put that in some of the acts that we did this year, like the AGS bill, so I'm wondering if it apparently didn't get in the LPG bill.
Correct.
Yeah, I just printed off the first page because the language was what I was wanting the board to see. I do remember on the second page, I didn't see anything about emergency clause. It just showed the engrossment date.
So the existing law that still is in place allows you to vote under the existing statute. I guess I wonder what would happen if you did vote under the existing statute, which is the waiver of those fees occurs until $500,000 is reached. But then 2 months from now, the new law kicks in. Does that immediately erase that provision, or does that stay in perpetuity again?
I think that's an excellent point.
That is a great point. I'm just gonna have to look into it, guys. That's the best I can tell you.
Right, well, that we certainly do. But what really kicks in is you don't have to have that burden of going or dipping below the $500,000 limit. I think that may be the saving grace right there, Ms. Ferris, don't you think? They certainly have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think the,
Yep, yeah, y'all can still do that.
the board was, as long as we're sure that 2 months from now, that law is replaced with this law. And so now we're operating on this law.
It will absolutely be replaced.
Okay.
So that's an excellent point, that you already have the authority to do this.
Right.
But what's going to on our force is the fact that it won't have to be below 500,000 for you to rescind it or change it or alter it after moving forward.
All right.
So I think you're good.
Yeah, the balance is already there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I put a major fly in you. I mean, I didn't mean to, but.
Well, you know, Charlie.
Sorry.
No, you were the one that saved us the first time, and I appreciate you, Charlie, for speaking up. Okay, and so I think that the only concern that the board might have, Sarah, is if somebody was able to come back and say, you invoked the rule as it was, so we're going to go to 500,000 before you can stop it, because that's not fiscally responsible, and that's what the board was concerned with.
I'm not sure I'm following what you're saying, Kevin.
Okay, so right now, the old law, the statute as it exists in our code book is what is actually that's actually law right now.
Right.
Board votes to invoke this and dispense with registration fees.
Mm-hmm.
In August, this law is replaced with this new law.
Right.
So is there any way that somebody can come back and say, wait a minute, you invoked this under the old law, you have to wait until your fund is decreased all the way to 500,000. Is there any way that could happen?
Not as I read this. I mean,
Okay.
well, I mean, the balance on July 1st is going to reach and exceed 500,000, correct?
Correct.
So I don't see an issue with it.
Once
Because you're going to you will meet the requirements of both the existing and the new.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Ms. Ferris. Once the law, August 1st kicks in, the old law with the 500,000 limit is gone off the books. It's done.
Okay.
So there's nothing, they couldn't point to that as authority because it won't be authority. It'll be over.
Okay.
And they're going to be.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, they just need to consider a motion to enact the current statute, and we roll.
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion.
Say it louder.
I'll make the motion. You not hear me?
No, I can barely.
I'll make, what you saying? Suspend things, suspension of inspection and registration fees as presented in this bill.
Gordon, if you could hear, Terry has made a motion
Okay.
to dispense with registration and inspection fees.
Got it.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I oppose. Mr. Gordon.
Okay, one oppose. All right,
All right, motion carries.
very good. Okay, the next thing that I just want to let everybody know, and we've got a little, I don't know if y'all can tell, we've got a little webcam that we're Zooming with today. I think it does a better job to kind of show the boardroom for y'all that aren't here. It's clearer than the one that we have on our Zoom cart. But the boardroom repair is almost complete. Friday, we will have the plumbers coming in to install the faucet and hook the sink up. And I think we'll be done. That's all we got left. And wanted to let you know that the contractor that we used was a company called Arujo Roofing and Construction. And their original quote was $28,000, a little over $28,000 for the repair. We got a second quote that was $38,000 and change. And we got a third quote that was just a little over $60,000. So there was quite a disparity, and you always worry when that happens, but we went with the lowest. We did have some mold remediation that had to take place, and so the final bill was a little over $31,000. But they completely replaced 100% of the carpet. We put vinyl planking in our storage areas, completely repainted, did a 1-foot flood cut on all the drywall, even into the closet areas. Put brand new baseboard down. They went ahead and replaced both cabinetry on both sides. It looks really good. Put soft close hinges, all that stuff. And they were able to put granite countertops as opposed to the Formica that we had requested for the same price. So they did a really good job. We were bumping up against the 40-hour school starting. And they stayed until just after midnight on a Friday night, and then they came back and we're here from 8 o'clock till after 5 on a Saturday to get it done. But they did. So I appreciate that, and I think they did a really good job. It looks good. Does anybody have any questions about the boardroom and the repair? And that bill's already been paid for. We've been in touch with our insurance. We're going to get a check cut back to us for $26,000 and change. We did have a $5,000 deductible that we'll have to pay. But that should take care of it. So, any questions concerning the boardroom or anything we recently done?
Sounds
Nope.
great, Kevin. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Any other? Okay.
I think that is all I had, with the exception of, I would like to introduce our new office manager and fiscal support, and Chrissy, if you want to, yeah, you can just lean in, or you can get up and just walk right over there. Okay, well, lean in then, so we can see you. This is Chrissy Horner. As we said in the email when she started, if you all have an opportunity, and I thought I was going to get an opportunity to introduce Terry to her, but they've known each other probably longer than I've known Terry. But want to welcome Chrissy. And Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you to close things out. I don't have anything unless you or Keisha know anything that I forgot. No?
I think that pretty much covers everything, Kevin. I do appreciate all your hard work and doing this meeting. And looks like we got some items taken care of that we needed to shore up. Is there any additional comments or concerns or that any of the other board members would like to mention at this time?
No.
No.
All right. With that being said, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second Jeff, motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned. It was a
All right.
pleasure, everyone.
Appreciate you all. You all have a good rest of the day and good weekend.
Y'all
Thank
too.
Yes, sir.
See ya.